What's up, crew? It's your boy K7, and on today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to easily draw dynamic fighting poses. Now, if you've ever tried drawing characters before fighting, you know that there's going to be a few difficult things sometimes. And so today I'll be talking about how to do some of the posing basics, some of the perspective basics, and then also something that I think is really important when it comes to drawing fighting poses, which is going to be making contact. And there are various different ways that we're going to be making contact here with our poses. Now, if it's your first time here, welcome into the K7 crew. My name is K7 and I'm a Filipino art streamer here on Twitch, teaching everything from anatomy, gesture, perspective to all things related to character design. And I also work full-time in the animation industry for the studio that made Castlevania. So if you guys are interested in some free art education, you like anime or animation, or you like my dog who is sleeping over here, do leave a follow out here on Twitch, and also like and subscribe if you are watching from YouTube. Now, before we jump into today's topic and stuff, I do want to let you guys know that on my Discord channel right here, you can actually find all of the resources that I'm going to be giving you guys today for free. Now, these are free to grab only while I'm live, so keep that in mind here. But here's the worksheet that we're going to have today. We'll have two different poses here, two different fighting scenes, one with a little bit more of a simpler perspective, and then one with a bit more of a dynamic shot, where not only is the perspective a little different, but also we have here the character jumping at us as well, so they're not really going to be in the ground plane. If we finish both of these during the stream, I'll probably do some other poses with you guys, maybe from imagination or whatever, but for now we'll stick with those two. And then here are also some resources that I have for you guys. This is going to be one for my digital art book, which I'll hopefully be releasing in a few months. So go ahead and grab this one, and then also grab this perspective cheat sheet that I made from Andrew Loomis's book. I made this one last year, so you can go ahead and grab this one as well. All right, so there you go, all the free stuff right here. And then if there was anything else I did want to say, I want to remind you guys that for those of you who are watching from the YouTube videos and all of that stuff, that the videos don't have to be watched in order. I know that there's a sequence of days and stuff for, you know, day 1, day 2, day 3 of the boot camp, but feel free to pick and choose the days that you are interested in, right? So maybe if you really are struggling with drawing arms, take a look at the arms day. If you're struggling with drawing legs, do some of that. You know, you don't have to go in the order of which I chose it. That's just the way that I decided to teach it out here. But if you are a complete beginner and you want to go front to back and just learn how to draw the character from the beginning, then sure, go from day 1. But for some of you who are maybe a little bit more advanced or just looking to improve certain things, feel free to explore and find the particular contents that work well for you. And I know we've got a lot of questions already in the chat. If I miss any questions, by the way, guys, just feel free to retype them later. I'm thinking what we'll do is I'll draw out a few of the mannequin first, and then when we get into talking about details and stuff, I'll try to answer a few more questions out here in the chat, if that's okay with you guys. But let me go see. Oh, thank you for the prime sub, by the way. A wild bald spot appears. Appreciate that. Do Drawbox has free lessons, or do they pay the initial part for free and then you pay? I think everything is free on Drawbox, by the way. Yeah, for those of you who are wondering in the chat, I'm pretty sure Drawbox is completely free. Now, here we go. On this scene right here, I basically picked out this reference because I think, one, it's got a nice complexity to it. It's two different characters and they're interacting with each other there, and I think that's super cool. But the perspective is not super complicated. They're both kind of just there on a flat plane. The x-axis it's pretty much parallel to the x-axis. There's a y-axis there, and there's really no depth in the shot. So I think this is a nice, easy one. And so already off the bat, the perspective, I think we've laid out a grid here, which I'm showing you guys. And I always tell you guys, if you're going to be drawing characters in scenes, interacting with each other, or if they are in full body poses like what we have here, it is very, very valuable to draw things in perspective. And even if you're only drawing, like, let's say this close-up section. Oh, hold on. For some reason, my iPad's not zooming in and out or something. Uh-oh. Give me a sec. One sec, guys. Let's see if this works. If this doesn't work, I'll have to try a different way. But, let's see. I've been having issues today with my iPad, actually. I don't know why. It's not zooming, huh? Interesting. Okay, give me a sec as I try to... Oh, there you go. Okay, we figured it out. We're good. It was because I was projecting my canvas. Okay, so as I was saying, even if you're doing a shot like this, where you're zooming in on, let's say the reference like this, there's still going to be some perspective. It may not be as dramatic and you don't necessarily need to draw a whole grid, but understanding some of the basic perspective in your scene is going to always be really beneficial. And so in this case right here, I've already laid out a grid for you guys just to kind of get the ball rolling here. And I've laid out the ground plane, which I think is really the most important thing. And then I put the horizon line, also known as the eye level, to be roughly, I personally want it to be right where that chin is. And the reason why I like to do that is because I like to put the perspective kind of where we are seeing the main action in the scene. You don't always have to do this, but this is kind of like a nice, a nice general tip or trick that you can do when you're drawing these kind of dynamic shots, right? So I'm putting here that horizon line right at the chin there. And yeah, he kind of does look like Adam Sandler, doesn't he? He's a little bit of Adam Sandler for sure. But okay, so let's go in here now. And I've actually also drawn out the mannequin for this one. I did a bit of a rough sketch here. And all I really did was I kind of just roughed out where I wanted to place the feet. So like kind of like right here. And then from there, just laying out a little bit of depth, right? Laying out a little bit of the forms. And I usually work my way up from these forms. So I'll talk a little bit about how I did this, as well as doing it for the other guy on the left there. But again, these mannequins really are going to be building up of all the proportions and stuff that we've talked about from previous bootcamp days. So really here, I'm establishing first the ground plane of where the character is standing here on the ground right there. And then here, because of the stance that he's in, I'm putting the back foot there at a little bit of a depth, right? So kind of pushing it back there in the perspective. And you can see that being reflected in how the foot is placed here on the ground plane, right? So you can really leverage the ground plane that you're drawing to also help establish a bit more of that structure and depth in your scene. So from there, I'm going to go work my way up here, build up the legs, use some of the proportional techniques here. So for example, the length from the foot all the way to the knee is roughly going to be the same as the length from the knee all the way here to the greater trochanter, also known as kind of like that lower section there, the hips. And so using these proportion techniques, we can then go in and say, okay, well, if the legs are this long, then from here to here will also be roughly the same length from here to here, right? Now, obviously he's bending his legs and stuff, so we can definitely account for that. But overall, these are just some kind of easy techniques you can start doing for your characters and posing them out and all of that stuff. So there you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and when we do the other character here, I'll do a little bit more of a mannequin technique as well. So that way you guys can see how I approach the mannequin. But I wanted to kind of give you a kind of show you a little bit of my process for kind of laying some of these things out before we jump in. Yeah, thanks for hanging out here. Appreciate everyone coming out here. Yeah, Kasem GG draws. I know that's me. Also Shadow Wolf. Yeah, appreciate you lurking out here. And thank you for the follow too, Ernest Vor 24, and everyone else who's been following today. Welcome in, guys. I'd love to know, for those of you guys who did come in here, how did you guys come across my stream today? Was it from recommended? Was it from my YouTube channel, which would be super dope? Was it from let me think. What else could it be? Was it from Instagram? Possibly from Instagram. Could be from that. But yeah, let's see. What's up with CSP brushes? I have no clue, honestly. I only use brushes that I make. I only use brushes that I make out here. So unfortunately, I don't know how the other brushes are behaving right now. But I did hear, by the way, just kind of a quick tangent, I did hear that CSP released their new 2.0 or whatever it's called, right? Oh, recommended, huh? A lot of recommended people out here. Sheesh. Just browsing the art section. Okay, nice. Well, welcome in my fellow recommended viewers out here. I do hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. Again, this is a pretty this is a pretty educational stream for those of you coming in live and stuff. I teach art. That's what I do as my second job out here. And so if you guys are looking for that, but also looking for a super chill community where we're kind of just hanging out and having fun, do consider leaving a follow out here and joining in. It's been honestly, I feel like the Twitch community, but in particular the art community has been I don't know, one of the best communities I think on Twitch. Just everyone is super nice and friendly. A little bit troll, a little bit sus on some days, but for the most part, I feel like we're a pretty nice we're a pretty nice community. And I don't know, there's something about drawing live and drawing with other people. I think that is also just really fun. Like I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to the feeling of, drawing by yourself in your room and stuff like that, because that's kind of how a lot of us artists became artists to begin with, right? Like we were alone in our room, we wanted to doodle a little bit, and we kept doing that, and that was kind of the thing. And then maybe some of us became introverted or whatever have you. But for the most part, I think a lot of artists, draw in isolation, which is nothing wrong with that. But sometimes it can be a little frustrating to be drawing by yourself, especially when you're getting into your head and you feel like you're not motivated or whatever have you. And so personally for me, drawing with you guys live and stuff, and having other people here who are also maybe co-working or co-drawing or co-studying, I don't know, there's something I think fun about that I didn't really have when I was younger, and I kind of wish I did have something like Twitch when I was younger, because who knows, maybe I would have been drawing a lot more. So yeah, that's just random stuff I'll talk about there about Twitch, because as you guys can tell, I'm a big fan of Twitch. I like it a lot, and I'm thankful for the community that we have here. Now here, again, I'm drawing out a stiff mannequin here. Nothing too crazy, as you guys can see. Nothing that I feel like is particularly too hard to do. I think if you guys can kind of lock in this mannequin structure first, I feel like this is going to be a really good first step for kind of getting yourself into drawing characters in different complex poses. So, you can kind of start going in there, start laying things out. And here, before I even draw the other kind of character that we have, I want to just start drawing out this first character completely. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of the posing for this character. So we'll look at some of the gesture, some of the asymmetry and stuff that maybe we can even push to make it look and feel a little bit more dynamic than maybe what the original reference had intended. Now, let me actually get rid of this. I want to put a right there. I want to put a brush size right there. Kind of like that midway mark for not too big, but not too small. So here we're going to kind of just put in this this hand and stuff. And we've actually done some hand tutorials already on my streams before. Oh, we've done technically one day, but I'm actually thinking of revisiting drawing hands another day with you guys. So let me know if you guys would be interested in me covering hands again. Maybe we'll do hands from imagination or dynamic hand poses and stuff, because I feel like hands are a very difficult topic, and it's one that even I still practice pretty regularly. But all right, we've got here our basic mannequin structure, nothing too complicated here. Now we're going to do a few things before we maybe jump into tackling some of the other components here of the character design. Now, first, what we can do is we can do an easy check here of trying to see how the proportions work out. So for those of you who've ever struggled with proportions, there's actually a few kind of techniques you can do. So here, for example, I know that this arm right here, that the length of the forearm, or sorry, the length of the upper arm right here up to the elbow should roughly be about the same distance right here. So it looks like this one's a little bit long. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of move. I'm going to go ahead and move like this arm a little bit here. Maybe bring it back here on the chest like that. So these are kind of just some easy proportional techniques that you can do. Let's go ahead and take also the length of this forearm here. And let's just make sure that that is lining up here. Let's make sure that's lining up here with the length that we have for this one. So here it looks like this is already pretty long in comparison, so we can also warp that out and fix some of those things. So again, these are nice kind of proportionate techniques you can do to just keep your characters consistent and using kind of simple measurements across the board. Now, obviously, as your poses get a little bit more complicated and stuff like that, do keep that in mind, that you don't have to use all these measurements, but for stuff like this, like easy kind of just posing, I feel like it's good to be able to kind of just visualize some of these things out. So I'm going to go in here and kind of bring in this arm just a little bit more, like so. Whoop. And then let's go ahead and take this arm now and I'm going to kind of shrink that as well. So I'm going to say maybe about like this length right here. We're going to leave some room there for the elbow joint as it kind of connects. But overall, I would say this is going to be a nice little fix there. And then maybe we can even look at the positioning, and not the positioning, the length there of the hand. So I feel like this hand is also a little bit bigger. So let's kind of shrink this one down a little bit. Usually here, the palm of the hand is going to be about a little bit less than half the size of the face. So if we're going to be drawing the face that big, let's kind of shrink that palm down just a little bit there. Maybe make it a little bit longer just for dramatic emphasis right there. So kind of like small, easy techniques that you can utilize out here for proportion and stuff. But there you go. Nice. So I think that works out a little bit better for me than whatever we had previously. And let me actually just bring it all the way in here. Oop, there you go. Cool. You struggle with drawing hands? Okay, so it sounds like a lot of people in the chat want a hand stream. We can do it. I'm down to do a little bit of a hand stream. Also, thank you for the follow, Big Stony. Appreciate that. Ernest, thank you for the follow as well. And for everybody else who's out here today, thank you for coming in here. Appreciate all the follows, guys. Yeah, NVQ is super dope. Really great artist. But yeah, glad to have a lot of you guys here today. So we've got here our rough mannequin, and we can also just fun fact here. So right now we're mostly talking about that posing right now, right? So we're going to be talking about kind of using proportions, relative proportions to kind of get something going. And this is honestly what I do whenever I'm working in the studio and stuff, and I need to just double check some of the quick light proportions. You can just always use relative proportions, and you don't have to be exact, right? So people always come in and sometimes they'll say like, oh, how do I make sure the head measurements and this and that is always right? And I always say, you know, like you don't have to get everything exactly right. As long as it looks okay and as long as it feels right, I think that's always more important. So just try to use general relative measurements there, and I think you'll actually be in a much better place. So we have here all of these measurements that we've laid out. I'm thinking here for the legs, honestly, I think the legs are okay. Yeah, I think the legs are okay. I don't think we need to change it out too much. So let's go ahead now and let's talk a little bit about the pose and see what's going on here and see if we could possibly even maybe change some of the pose a little bit to make it more interesting. So let me highlight a few things here. One, we have here some of the tips and tricks I told you guys about when it comes to pushing your poses and making them look more dynamic. Is I talked about 4 things: gesture, perspective, asymmetry, and depth, right? And a lot of these things can be incorporated in different various ways when you're drawing your characters, whether it's by the way that they're standing, the way that they are creating depth through foreshortening, or just right here, even just normally standing, but we change the perspective of the character's positioning and how we go from a flat perspective like this to something that's a little bit more maybe League of Legends splash art style, you know? So let's see if we can incorporate some of those aspects as well into this one. We don't have to necessarily do everything, but I think maybe we can push a few things to see if that can actually drive a little bit more of an interesting type of perspective, or sorry, interesting type of pose. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate this and we'll work on this new layer here so that way we can kind of do a comparison. So maybe what we can do is since we're having here, we know that there's going to be a bit of a contact right here on the neck. Maybe we can actually like tilt his head up a little bit, and this will become a lot easier obviously as we draw out the other pose, but like let's just say we do some of that. And then maybe let's also make it so that he is kind of turning his torso a little bit, right? So we're going to kind of maybe we'll raise that shoulder this way and then kind of bring that form here. So we're actually kind of making the torso more parallel to us, but then we're also going to twist this pelvis back a little bit. So we're kind of like opening out the torso here, opening out here like this, and then kind of wrapping out that twist there and seeing how that will kind of bring about some kind of interesting gesture there. Maybe we'll widen his stance as well too. So we can kind of do a lot of different things here. Today, yeah, for those of you who are coming in just now on the stream, today we're talking about action poses. So we have here 2 different references that we're going to be focusing on today. And we're going to be talking about at least how I think about approaching action poses where maybe there's a character doing something dynamic, but also there's, you know, two or more characters interacting and stuff. And so how do you actually, you know, place out some of these scenes and make them feel a little bit more natural, or make them feel kind of more interesting, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have done, or at least have attempted to try to do some action poses for your characters, and maybe you just feel like it's not really making sense, right? Like maybe you can draw one character really well, but the moment you try to draw another character interacting with that character, you're kind of like, what the heck is going on, right? Like, put an F in the chat, guys, if you've ever tried to draw multiple characters in a scene and you just felt like it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like they're in the scene together. Maybe it just looks like one character's drawn well, but the other one's kind of funky, and you're just like, what do I do, you know? So this is kind of like how I'm showing you guys here how to kind of incorporate some of these techniques that we have. And so that's kind of what we're going to have there. Now, a cool trick that I learned in animation, and I'll see if I have, I don't know if I have this example anymore. I'm going to see if I can find it really quick, but there was an example that I had for you guys last year where I showed you guys a kind of a brief animation that I did of a punch sequence. Let's see. Looks like I don't have it anymore. That's a shame. I used to have this punch sequence that I would show you guys of how to draw a character punching. And in animation, what you can sometimes do is stretch out the pose a little bit more to really add more impact. Now, obviously, this is not going to be an animated scene. That would take a lot more time than what we're doing now. But you know, I think the point I'm trying to make is sometimes you don't also have to line up your proportions exactly. Sometimes you can mess with certain things and actually help make the scene more dynamic through stretching out certain forms and stuff. I love how your dog is laying on the floor completely ignoring. I know, my dog always does that. I don't know why he does that. He's a bully. Thank you for all the follows, by the way. Mitty Roni, Monta Knight, Abstraction 83, Big Stony, and everyone else who's coming in here, guys. Really appreciate the follows. But yeah. Also, guys, I do run ads on my stream every hour. One's gonna be running right about now. So if you do get an ad, thank you again for sticking around for the ad break. They help keep my streams monetarily viable and allow me to do what I'm doing out here on Twitch. So if you do get an ad, thank you again. And if you don't want to see any ads, consider subscribing or using a Prime sub. But either way, appreciate the support, and I hope to see you guys afterwards. So here's a little ad break text there. Cool. All right, but this is basically going to be the posing here. So we've done perspective, we've done posing. Now let's work on adding in a little bit of context. So let's actually, before we even jump in on that, let's kind of, I want to kind of see here, make a little bit of a comparison of what we currently changed relative to what we had previously. And again, it's all very subtle stuff. As you guys can see, I didn't really, I wouldn't say I did too much to change the pose, but you'll kind of see here. Oh, hold on. Let me fill this one out too as well, I guess. Okay. All right, let me do that. All right, cool. So here's like that before and after. So you'll kind of see just kind of a wider stance, but I'm anticipating a little bit of that impact right there on this pose. You can kind of see there, like I know that he's going to get hit. And so I'm kind of already rotating his body a little bit, shifting his neck a little bit. And so it's like very subtle changes here. But sometimes those subtle changes are the things that you can do to make your things just a little bit more dynamic overall. Now, I think I also widened his back foot there, which I think is okay, but I actually do like having it like right here. So let's kind of bring that back, right? And maybe let's actually turn his foot as well too. So now that I'm seeing it more, maybe I want to turn out his foot a little bit, so that way it's going out a little bit more of like a 3/4 view and not necessarily a flat away, right? So we can do small things like these that I think will help push that gesture. You see that? Cool. All right. So from there, let's go in now and let's draw out the other pose before we start jumping into what's it called? Before we start jumping into doing all the details for these characters and stuff. Also, hey, Project U Gamer, welcome back in. Also, Nori, how's it going? Thank you for the follow. All right, so for this one right here, again, what I want to do is I want to actually keep here the character. I want to use the vanishing point here and the horizon line to be where the main point of contact is going to be. So let's actually move here the grid that we have. I'm going to move this grid. And I want to put it right here, so that way we're going to get that elbow hitting right where that vanishing point is going to be, where that eye level is looking at, right? So, and yeah, Dominic, thanks for the kind words. Appreciate that. So we're going to put it there, and then let's go ahead now and draw out our other character. So here we have kind of that elbow here. So this is where contact is going to be really important, right? So contact doesn't have to necessarily be physical contact, doesn't have to be like where the character is touching or something, but it can even sometimes be where the eye level is. So like maybe a character is looking down right here. So we'll make sure to have eye contact be an important part of this. But basically anything that we can do to establish a connection between the multiple characters that are in a scene. Now we've actually done a few examples of this, like right here on day 22, when we actually covered perspective. I showed you guys how even on this one right here, the slight tilting of the head and stuff can actually help establish that all these characters are in the same scene, aside from obviously making sure that they are in perspective and stuff, right? You want to make sure to lock all that stuff in. Now, really quick, guys, for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome in. My name is KSM, and I'm a Filipino art streamer here on Twitch. I teach everything from anatomy, gesture, perspective, to all things related to character design. And I also work full-time in the animation industry for the studio that made Castlevania. Right now, I'm actually prepping to work as a designer on shows like Castlevania, Legend of Korra, and Invincible. So if you guys are interested in some free art education out here on Twitch, or you guys are just, you know, here to hang out and find a stream to watch while you're doing your own thing, do consider leaving a follow out here. And thank you for quenching my thirst, Red Line. Or Red Leon. Oh, today I found some honey. I found some honey in my home that wasn't crystallized, and I was super happy because now I can actually drink honey. Let's go. Hyped. But yeah, welcome in everyone who's coming in. But now what's really great here also about establishing some of these mannequin structures too, is we can actually kind of go in and start kind of placing out some of these basic forms that we have. And usually when you're doing a pose that's something like this, I actually think establishing some good kind of positioning there for the hips can become really helpful. Now keep in mind here that because we have here the horizon line above, or kind of at that head level there, we are going to be seeing some bottom plane here for the pelvis, so always keep that in mind. But here we're also going to have now that torso. So let me kind of bring that torso in here, kind of bent over forward for us, right? And so let's kind of imagine that. And so again, I'm just showing you guys how to utilize some of these mannequin shapes. Now, when you draw these things out yourself, by the way, you don't have to do all these things. You can definitely, you know, go in and just start drawing out the gesture, whatever have you. But I think from a beginner standpoint, if you're first starting out and you really want to understand how to do some of these fighting poses and stuff, I really do think it's beneficial to take your time and to really understand the forms. Yo, thank you for the sub. Thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate that, Edgar. Sheesh. Thank you. Yes, guys, if you didn't know, by the way, if you do have a Prime sub, or if you have Amazon Prime, you actually technically have a free sub that you can give to any content creator here on Twitch once a month. If you choose to subscribe to my stream out here on Twitch, you'll actually not only get emotes and all that stuff, but you'll also get all of the courses that I teach out here on Twitch. So basically, it's free art school. And again, I cover so many different topics. We're already on day 27, but you'll get access to all the worksheets. You'll get access to all the cheat sheets as well, so you'll get all of these things here that I've made throughout my time here teaching on Twitch. So a lot of stuff right here, and it's completely free if you have a Prime sub, guys. So make sure to check if you have that. If you click on the subscribe icon and it says it should say something like subscribe for free with Prime, you can definitely use that. But again, you don't have to use it on my stream, because even if you don't subscribe on my channel, I always give you guys a bunch of free stuff you can download every single time that I'm live out here on my Discord channel. So again, here is today's worksheet that we're working on that you guys can follow along with. Here are two sheets right here, one from my art book that I'll be releasing this year, and this one from last year, which is Andrew Loomis's stuff. All right, so even if you can't subscribe, which is completely fine, make sure to at least join the Discord channel and grab the free resources, okay? Like, I'm trying to make art education as free and as accessible out here for you guys. So please don't procrastinate, because I know we got a lot of procrastinators out here, okay? Because I too was once a procrastinator. I mean, I still am. I still procrastinate, but I know what it's like to, for example, binge watch a bunch of tutorial videos on YouTube and think that I know what I'm doing, but then it's not until I actually practice those things and actually do the work, that I am actually, learning and improving. Similarly here, I always say like, oh, you know what? These are free. I'll grab them later, but they will be gone. Okay. They will be gone at the end of my stream. So if you don't grab them now, you might forget, and then you'll have to wait till the next stream to see what other free stuff I give you guys. But all right, so here right now, I'm locking in some of the general kind of proportions, right? And if you take a look at where I started, I'm actually doing a couple things. One, I'm placing in here the connection of of the elbow to that guy's chin. So really establishing that impact there as kind of the first kind of point there. But then two, what I also did was I took a look at where the character here was standing, and I said, all right, if he's going to be standing and his knees are bent that way, then this character whose legs are a little bit going to be more spread out and he's doing kind of an elbow jab right there to the chin, his position is going to be even lower. So in perspective, I'm going to lower his hips a little bit more than the other character, right? So these are all things that you can start thinking about as you start drawing some of these more complex scenes and stuff. Oh, and hey, welcome in everybody who's coming in here, Romy, and yeah, don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate, guys. It's one of the few things that I feel like procrastination obviously has always existed. Through history, people have procrastinated. But I do feel like technology with, all the recent inventions of stuff like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube and Netflix and all these things that make entertainment super easy. I feel like procrastination, I feel like it's hit an all-time high, man. I don't know. It's so easy to procrastinate and grab your phone than it is to actually do the things that you genuinely want to do, right? It's like, I could study for 1 hour, or I could scroll for 5 minutes first. And then what usually happens is you scroll for 5 minutes, and then that 5 minutes turns into like 50 minutes, turns into a whole hour, and you're kind of like, huh, wait a minute. I'm a little tired now. I'm a little tired. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, it's a common thing. I feel like that happens in this day and age. Not that I'm trying to sound like a boomer or anything. Like, yeah, back in my days we didn't have procrastination, because I definitely did procrastinate 100%. I procrastinated a lot, but at the same time, I feel like it just keeps getting easier and easier to get distracted. That's I think what I'm trying to say here. Every year they come up with something that makes it easier to get distracted, so you kind of have to watch out for those kind of things. All right, so let's go in now, guys, and let's lock in. Let's go ahead and lock in here now the legs. So I have here again a general pose, and we're going to clean these up, right? So I'm going to kind of fix up the pose a little bit, but I want to start placing out here the general kind of structure. Que no comprendo. Lo siento, pero no hablo español. Yeah, that's all I know how to say. If there's anything I've learned from taking 2 years of Spanish in high school, it's I know how to say. It's that I know how to say I don't know how to speak Spanish. That's what I know. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to my Spanish speakers, to my Mandarin speakers, to my Korean speakers. I don't know, everybody out here. I barely speak English. To my Tagalog speakers as well, dude. Yeah. I apologize. Now, here's what I'm going to do, by the way. I'm going to go ahead here, and I highly recommend that you guys do this as well. So even though you have like a character here, for example, that's going to be behind, like getting overlapped right here, I always still recommend you draw through the forms, because if you don't draw through the forms, you might sometimes get stuff that is not going to be in line with each other. Like, I have seen this so many times with beginner artists where they don't draw through the forms because they're like, oh, this character's legs are going to be in front and stuff, right? And so what do? Like the legs they're not going to line up. Like I've seen this so many times. So make sure you draw through the forms. It's not hard to erase it afterwards like this, right? But you want to make sure you're doing some of that there, because if you can do that, it's going to be way easier to make sure your characters are solid. They got some structure there. So please draw through the forms. It's like one of the easiest things you can do that I feel like people don't do. It was a great Spanish. Gracias. Say something in Italian. Wait, I told you guys I don't know how to speak things. why are you guys testing me? I said I don't know things. I don't know how to speak languages. Let's see, Italian. How do people even say hi in Italian? Okay, maybe at least tell me that. How do people say hi in Italian? I know Korean is like annyeonghaseyo. Annyeonghaseyo. Grazie. Is that ciao? Ciao. Ah, okay. Ciao. There you go. See? We know a little bit. I speak a little bit of Italian myself. They say stuff. Yeah. Again, my knowledge is very limited. Let's see here. We need a redemption for speak some language. Why? I don't know how to speak the languages. I didn't draw through the form on my current drawing, and I actually made her arm behind her leg too long, right? See? I'm glad, Zara. You're learning from your mistakes. Don't be like past Zara. Be like current Zara. They've learned the errors of their ways. They know the pain and struggle. Let me go ahead here and kind of place this foot back. So I think for this foot, it's actually going to be a little bit, maybe like this. Like that. So a little bit further back in perspective, but not too much, that it's going to be too different here. It's also going to be forward in perspective as well. But okay, so now we've drawn out here this mannequin pose. They're doing kind of like a neck kind of hit there, right? So it's kind of I think it's a cool pose right here. But we've got here now a general structure, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here. Let me actually brighten this one up. And now I'll go in and I'm going to erase the leg here, right? I'm going to kind of erase some of the forms here because we have here the overlap that's happening. So now we have kind of this general mannequin structure. It's a little messy, but that's okay. This is not where we're going to have all the details coming in here. This is where I think we're going to have most of our general placement and forms. And then from here, now we can kind of go in and start actually adding in all the details for our character. But this is something I would highly recommend you do. Even if you're working in the industry and stuff, like if you're doing and working on a very complicated scene, which I oftentimes get handed some very complicated stuff, being able to visualize and do just the basic structure before you jump into the details can save you so much time. So get familiar with a version of a mannequin that works well for you. Let's see here. Imagine Brad Pitt lurking. I don't know if Brad Pitt's here. It's Mod Appreciation Day. Really? Is it Mod Appreciation Day? Let's do a quick mod check. How do I do that again? Here, we'll do pet the mods. Everybody pet the mods. It's apparently they have a day for themselves. All right, just everyone here, pet the mods. They need it. They are deprived. They are deprived of validation. Okay, there you go. My mods are like, please. KSEM's been working me too hard out here. We're burnt out. We're thirsty. We haven't seen the light of day in years. Oh man. There you go. See, now the mods are happy. They're like, okay, yeah, I'm all right now. Okay, but let's kind of go in and let's start actually working on let's start actually working now on maybe changing some of this pose. Let's see if we can change some of it up a little bit here. Honestly, I think it's a good pose. If there's anything I would do, like maybe I'll bring this shoulder down a little bit more to kind of really sharpen up that angle there. I'm going to bring down the hips a little bit more as well to kind of also push through that form a bit more. And I'm going to maybe bring back here maybe bend this leg a little bit more here, some of the positioning there. I think overall this is a pretty good pose. I might actually lower the knee here to kind of build and establish some negative space. And then I think here the neck jab is pretty solid, so I'm not going to change that too much right there. And then last but not least, oh, right, the arm. This is the one I wanted to change. So I wanted to kind of, I kind of wanted to actually take this forearm and kind of bend it a little bit forward there. So it kind of matches more of, the gesture and kind of that eye directly going in here on that contact, right? So kind of like he's aiming it there. So I feel like subtle changes like that can actually do a whole lot. But now we have here our rough kind of composition. Let's go in here and start maybe piecing out some of the details. All right. This is a great time, by the way, for those of you who are watching right now. If you have any questions, whether it's questions about what we're tackling here today or just general questions for me, I know we had a lot of questions earlier. This is probably the best time to ask it because I'm going to be working on just fleshing out some of the details for this scene. So please ask away. This is going to be the time. And in the meantime, I'll be working out here on actually drawing out some of these things. Now, I'll do this on a new layer, and let me actually... What's the best way to do this? Maybe if I go like this. And just kind of fill it out and then lower the opacity a little bit so we can work on some of the details. But hey, thanks for the follows. I don't know how to say your name. I'll try. Zich Chitokiri, Etso, Barry Hawks, Down T1SM, Lou Vise, Java Monster, Ziana, me, Yeswol, and everyone else coming in here. Thank you so much for all the follows today. You guys are actually insane. I don't know what I'm doing right today, but I'm going to take it. No questions asked. Thank you so much. For those of you who are following, I'd love to know how you guys came across my stream today. If you came in from the raid, maybe you came in from, I don't know, whatever. Let me know. All right, but in the meantime, guys, let me go ahead and answer some questions in the chat while also drawing some stuff out here. Let's see here. How do you simplify? Because when I try to draw, I know I should, but I actually doing it gets complicated fast. Right. So whenever I'm simplifying, and you guys can kind of see, this is kind of how, to answer your question, this is how I simplify. But in general, I think the way that I simplify is that I tend to focus on very primitive shapes. Right. So I'm looking at, for example, I'm looking at just using cylinders, and I'm using boxes and stuff like that. And the main thing, if there's anything to keep in mind about simplifying, it's that simplifying doesn't have to be, you don't have to make something look good, right? The whole point of simplifying is to get that general idea out the way, to be able to then visualize it and say, okay, I kind of have the rough idea down. Let me then go in and start adding in more of the details afterwards and start polishing it up. But, you know, if it doesn't look completely right or the proportions are not exactly right, that's okay. Those are things that you can fix. Though I tend to say that, you know, it's good to aim for good proportions, even when you're doing the simplified stuff, but don't worry too much about adding in the bumps and the details and the anatomy, because all of those things can easily make something super complicated really fast, right? So that's kind of what I'll say about that. But that's a great question. Honestly, a good question, because I think some people take the idea of simplifying too easily or for granted. And you know, people always say like, oh, just simplify the forms, it's not hard. But like, what does that actually mean to simplify, right? Is there an easier way to simplify? Personally, I think nice solid forms are really good. Organic stuff like using ovals and stuff, like I used to do this all the time, where I would do this. You know, I'd go here, draw an oval. And I think while this is good, this is okay to do. The only problem I have sometimes with using kind of these rounder shapes, especially if you're first starting out, is that it doesn't teach you a lot about 3D form. And 3D form, I think, is such an underrated thing to learn as an artist, because 3D form lets you understand shading, it lets you understand clothing, it lets you understand perspective, it lets you understand foreshortening. Like it's like a gateway to opening up all the other crazy fundamentals of being able to draw. And so this is why whenever I'm teaching to you guys here, I'm always showing you guys the 3D forms, even though it's not what I would normally do for work. Normally for work, I keep it pretty loose and I use general rough shapes because I kind of already, I think I'm at a stage in my skill set where I'm able to kind of visualize some of these forms a little bit better without having to utilize boxes and stuff, right? But if you're first starting out, go for it. And even on occasion, I still do personally, I still like to use some 3D forms here and there. So there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, Twitch put you in my main page. I'm glad that the algorithm is working. Oh, that's super awesome. Thank you for coming in here, by the way. Funky Noodle Frog. Thanks for the follow earlier. Appreciate that. Yeah, and again, there's no shame in using 3D forms. Like, there are, for example, if you work in storyboard, right? If you're going to be a storyboard artist, you literally will only be using simplified form because that's kind of the nature of the storyboard, right? You're gonna have to use simplified forms to convey motion and stuff like that, and it's someone else's job to try to add in all the details and actually make each scene look super nice. So there's always, you know, value in understanding the 3D forms. Let's see here. But yeah, that's a great question. There was another question earlier that I might have missed. If somebody could just retype it. Oh, here it's for a beginner, is it better to practice in small amounts or larger amounts of time? I think it depends on. I think personally, it depends on how much. I'm gonna put this away, but it depends on how much free time you have and how much you're willing to invest. I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, you're a beginner, you have to draw at least an hour every day, otherwise you're gonna be trash, you know, like that. I don't know. Maybe there are some people who believe that, but personally, I feel like it's not necessarily like it's not necessarily that you have to draw for a certain amount every day, but it's more like if you can give an hour every day, then okay, put that hour in. But also, you know, try to be mindful, I think, of your practice. I think that's more important than anything. And by mindful, I mean be more intentional with your practice, right? So if you know you have an hour every day, and that's all you can give, make sure you're, you know, focusing on the things that you care about, the things that you think will actually help you grow. And then practice that, right? Like, so maybe it's about studying how to do anatomy. So you do some anatomy for like a couple of days, or maybe it's about, I don't know, I'm trying to think what else, right? Like perspective or something. So I think being mindful and maybe scheduling it out, especially if you have a limited time, limited schedule and stuff, I think can be really, really helpful, in the long run. So that's what I'll say there. So it's less about like you have to do something for a certain amount of hours and more so just be mindful of what it is you're studying. And I think that'll be much better. Just giving him some spit. Man's got clocked. He's getting his neck hit right now. But yeah, that's a great question, actually. Yeah, it also depends on how much fun you're having too. I think as a beginner, that's probably the most important thing. Just have fun and enjoy the process of drawing and explore the different things that you are interested in. Maybe you're interested in a particular show, or you're interested in a particular artist and their style of how they draw, right? So I feel like, you know, focus on those things more than I think trying to like be the best artist right away, because I don't know. I mean, you can do that if that's really what you enjoy, but I oftentimes find that that's a recipe for, it's a recipe for burnout, because the idea of being the best artist ever is one that doesn't have a definitive end goal. And so thus it almost feels like you're running an endless marathon, you know, one of which can tire you out pretty quickly. And hey, how's it going, Wrigless? Welcome in. Yeah, that's a great question. All right, we're gonna make him bald for now. I haven't decided yet if we're gonna be drawing characters on these because the only reason why is because in general doing multi-character poses and stuff like these fighting poses do take up a lot of time, and so I'm still not sure if I'm like do I want to draw these out as like characters, but I'll think about it. I'll see how much time we have, if we'll either decide to oh, actually no, he should be looking down, right? Yeah, you should be looking down at him, maybe like that. Yeah, there you go. That makes more sense to me. But yeah, we'll see what we can do with this one. Which characters do you think fit with this pose? Oh, let's see. Who is a character that does hand-to-hand combat? I'm trying to think like from like an anime or something. This is a very martial artsy type of pose. I don't know the fighting style. Muay Thai, maybe. This seems like a Muay Thai with the attire that the people have and stuff. So possibly something in the Muay Thai. Rock Lee. Ooh, that's true. Yeah. I can see Rock Lee doing a little bit of this. 100%. Yeah, Rock Lee can be doing this. This is some random ninja in some random village getting his head clocked. Yeah. All right, but let's kind of keep going here. I'm just adding in some details, but I think the most important thing here was really establishing those points of contact, right? So establish those points of contact, and I think for the most part, you'll have here a good overall interaction with your characters. And then you can also, again, change a few of the details too. That will also help kind of push it out a little bit further. Jin Mori. Where's Jin Mori from? Honesty prioritize fun. Yeah. Oh, Julia Chang. Dude, I haven't played Tekken. This might sound like I'm old or maybe young. The last time I played Tekken was Tekken 3, which is something I bought for PS1, like back in the days. So that was like the last time I played Tekken was like Tekken 3 on PS1. And that was it. Like maybe let me think. Maybe I played Tekken on another occasion, but that's the last time I genuinely paid for a Tekken game. Oh, God of High School, I see. It's always Tekken 3, isn't it? Tekken 3 was like peak. Last summer I tried drawing 100 poses. I could only draw 50. I felt proud of myself for reaching that far. Right? Yeah. I think oftentimes too, like I have, man, it's crazy how like sometimes we as artists are so hard on ourselves because we feel like we have to accomplish we have to go 100%, right? So it's like, oh, if I say I'm going to draw 100 faces, but I draw 99 faces, would you really consider that a failure? Because I feel like that's good. That's like a great achievement. But sometimes we as artists, we're like, yeah, this is lame. Like, wow, I can't believe I didn't finish. You know, I suck, this and that. And obviously this is like this is an exaggerated example, right? The whole 100 heads thing. But I'm sure you guys can think of situations in your own time as artists where you've done something similar, where you did something that was decent enough, but because it wasn't perfect, you're kind of like, oh, wow, I can't believe I didn't finish. Like for me, it's like maybe like going to the gym, right? It's like, and it's like, let's say you told yourself, I'm going to go to the gym every day, but you only go 3 times a week. Is that really an L? Because like, that's still pretty good, right? Like if you were never going to the gym at all, like that's pretty solid. But I've been in situations where like, wow, I couldn't meet my goal. This is whack. So you kind of have to, yeah, exactly. You got to walk the line between praising yourself and not doubting too much, right? You definitely don't want to be over cocky and be like, oh, you know what? This is good enough. Like sometimes you do have to critique yourself for the better. But oftentimes I feel like we as artists are definitely leaning, at least at the beginning, we have a tendency to lean towards the more negative responses, right? But yeah, right now I'm mostly just freehanding a lot of this, like the reference. I'm again utilizing here some of the structure that we've already established, to be able to go in and add all these details. And this is kind of the beauty of being able to incorporate your understanding of anatomy with some of the basic shapes, because now that you can do that, right, like all I'm really doing is just filling in the blanks. Like, okay, cool, I know that the hand is positioned this way, so let me go ahead here and add in the features of the elbow and the arm and all of that stuff, right? Like it all kind of comes back in here after you start laying all these things out. But yes, only 3 more days. Yeah, so for those of you who are coming in here, we do have 3 more days left of this boot camp, but that's not to say that the boot camp, that the educational content will be over, because after this 30-day boot camp, I'll be giving you guys another 30-day challenge. It'll be a really fun one. So basically this boot camp is going to be the fundamentals boot camp, right? So the fundamentals boot camp is primarily focused on covering things like how to do anatomy, how to do perspective, how to do proportions, how to pose your characters. The next 30-day boot camp, which is going to be called the variations boot camp, will actually be an application of all the things that we've learned here today, all the things we learned from this 30-day boot camp. And I'm going to be teaching you guys how to draw different types of characters, whether that be children, teenagers, adults, elderly characters, maybe animal hybrid characters. I'm not saying furry exactly, but you get what I'm saying. And so we'll be talking about how to draw skinny characters, fat characters, muscular characters, and all of that stuff. So it'll be kind of an application of all the things that we've learned from this boot camp right here. So I hope you guys are excited for that one. I think it'll be starting at some point in April. I don't know exactly when. I might take a little break from Twitch, which I know some of you are gonna be like, whoa, what? Platypus bears? Yeah, maybe like a platypus bear. It depends. When I say animal hybrids, I'm also referring to like creatures in general, so like monsters and all of that stuff. So we're gonna try to do it. I don't think I've ever really drawn monsters on my stream, so we're gonna try our best to do all of that, and that'll be covered in the next boot camp. I don't have an age command. Tuna in the Philippines. Yeah, dude, tuna's great. I love tuna. And thank you for the follows too. Cat Pernicus, Illust Kid, Ob Searcher, Ivan, Willow, and everyone else coming in here. Enjoy your streams. I will be winding down. This page is fantastic. Thank you so much for the raid, Sindri. Turtle ducks. Yeah, we might draw some turtle ducks. We'll see. But interestingly enough, like drawing animals and creatures and stuff like that is actually becoming more and more common in the animation space. Like you'll oftentimes see, like a lot of projects will be like, oh, hey, can you draw a monster, right? Or can you draw an animal or something? Like I've had to do a few of those, and honestly, for me, those are the hardest ones because I don't practice drawing monsters as much as I do humans. So it's like, oh man, whenever I get an assignment where I have to draw a creature, I'm like, please, can't you give it to someone else? This is rough, but it's okay. It's one of those things that you have to kind of just learn, and we'll be going over that as well too. So it'll be a boot camp that I think will be helpful, also for me here. Here I'm going to add a little bit of twisting right here for the abs. Now again, this is where I really feel like you can start to place here the details for your characters, right? So earlier when we were focusing on the mannequin, we're not really, I'm not too concerned about like, oh man, I got to put all the details in and make sure that all the proportions are right. Like we could do that, but I would say it's not super necessary. I think later on, like at this stage right here, when we're actually thinking now about like, okay, we got the arch here. We got here the arch or the abs, right? So coming in here like so, this is where I'm like, okay, cool. Let me actually add some details in that I think now will start to make sense now that we're actually drawing out the character. We've done a few demos as well on how to draw abs. So if you guys want to see that one, just check out the previous days of my stream, I think. Oh, actually, on my recent YouTube video, really quick, on my recent YouTube video, I actually released a video on how to draw the torso from front view, side view, and back view. So we covered all the different views there. And so if you guys have ever struggled with drawing the torso and stuff, highly recommend you check out those videos. Again, I want to remind you guys who are watching and following along with my bootcamp that you don't have to follow from day one. Feel free to hop around and, you know, jump in. If you see a particular topic you're interested in, go check it out, you know. But again, if you do want to, if you're kind of like the people who, you know, like to do things in order, which is also fine, then sure, start off with day one and see how that feels, right? But don't feel like you have to. You have to do day one. If you see a topic like, oh, how to draw the torso and stuff, check that out instead. You'll do Monster and Dragons, but not much in Humanity. The animation site is gonna go into dark places. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think people want to see certain different things in animation, and right now monsters and stuff are kind of hot, you know. It's what's popular out here. Not hot as in like attractive hot, though arguably you could make some attractive monsters, I guess. Ashari, thank you for the follow as well too. But yeah, at this time, guys, also at this time, if you do have any questions, this is probably the best time to ask it, since I am right now mostly just going in here and just kind of piecing together some of the anatomy that we have of this pose. So this is pretty solid time to go in and ask me questions if you got them. And then later when we go back into doing more poses, we'll be jumping in and you know, I'll be tackling a different thing, and so I'll be teaching more again. So right now we're kind of like in the chatting phase of all of this, nice and easy, just kind of laying out here some of the pose and stuff. Also earlier I did ask you guys if you wanted me to cover hands again. I'm thinking I want to do another stream with you guys, just like a not part of the boot camp, but just for fun, where we talk a bit about drawing hands, because I feel like hands are tough. Let's just be real here. Watch out for the sus bar. What did I say something sus? What did I say, huh? Is this a KSMGG stream? I have a game stream, by the way. If you guys are interested in seeing me play games, I have a separate Twitch account for purely playing games. If you guys want to see that one. And that one, I think actually next stream, we might actually get affiliates. So if I stream next time, we might get to affiliate, and I think that would be super dope. It's been really fun and interesting to stream again from the beginning, you know, and kind of just learn from the beginning how to be a streamer, because, you know, it's a little different. Am I a good gamer? It depends. It depends on what I'm playing. If I'm playing League of Legends, I would say I'm pretty good. I'm Diamond 1 right now. Diamond 1, almost getting there to Master, and I'm a jungle main, so I would say I'm pretty good at that. I recently picked up Valorant on stream for the first time ever, and I'm really trash because I've never played shooter games. So don't expect much out of my Valorant streams, obviously. But you know, I'm not necessarily streaming to be like a pro gamer. It's more just for fun with you guys, and I just want to play games that normally I can't do on this stream on this account, because you know, I have sponsors and all of that other stuff, and the recommended algorithm, you know, is recommending a lot of artists here, and I want to make sure it stays that way. So because of that, I don't want to stream games on this account, at least not yet. Maybe in the near future, who knows? Maybe if you guys are really like, hey Sam, we want to see some games here, or maybe you draw some fan art of games and stuff, you know, then sure, maybe we'll do some of that. Oh, thank you for coming in here, Lena. Hot Monsters, do you know that anime Ishizuko reviewers? I don't know that, unfortunately. Opinions on the characters of Valorant. Let's see. Opinions on characters in Valorant. I think they're really well designed. I think what I like about the Valorant characters is that they feel like they could be everyday characters, you know? Like I could see a Phoenix character walking around in the street. Maybe not a Viper. I would I mean, I think that would be cool if I saw a Viper walking out in the street. I might be like, hey, let me talk to you real quick. Teach me how to play Valorant. Teach me how to shoot. But otherwise, I think most of the characters, they seem like they're kind of just chill, well-designed characters. They've got good design motifs and stuff. Honestly, if I do play more of Valorant, I'll probably do some fan art because I think the characters are, again, really well drawn. Have Viper teach me. Yeah, Viper, help me teach me some Valorant, maybe poison me if I'm doing a bad job. You do whatever you like. Did you already go over the 3D shapes? I feel like my drawings are so flat it ended up looking weird. Yeah, so we've actually gone over the 3D shapes already. That's kind of right here underneath. And right now I'm just adding in some of the details and stuff and having some fun with that. Oh, what did I do? Okay, we're good. Sorry. No, my progress. Imagine accidentally deleting this whole thing. Oof. Let's see here. Kasem, can you Google search volume covers for Tokyo Revengers and give your opinion about the designs? I swear they got drip. Oh, I've seen Tokyo Revengers. I think they've got some nice clothing designs and stuff. I know Tokyo Revengers. I think Tokyo Revengers kind of fits in that category as well of characters that are designed to what's it called? Characters that are designed in a way that is kind of set in a more modern, realistic setting. And I think that works really well for those type of stories, I also do like, I do like the fantasy genres and stuff like that too. What's my name? My name is Kasem. Welcome in, guys. Yeah, for those of you coming in here, my name is Kasem. I am a Filipino art streamer here on Twitch. I teach stuff out here, and when I'm not teaching out here on Twitch, I work full-time in the animation industry. I'm just adding in some of the clothing for this guy here. So we're going to do some of that. Okay. Cool. Wow, thanks for the follow. Goose Wen and also Hanko Kurumet. Appreciate that. Honestly, seeing you draw Valorant characters would be a dream come true. Really? Interesting. Yeah, I think if there was a way for me to combine my art streams with game streams, I would love to do that. Because at the end of the day, I want this channel to be primarily dedicated to art. Like I've always wanted this just to be an art channel dedicated to my artists out here, because I feel like there's not a lot of streamers who teach art on Twitch. I can name maybe like a handful, I can name them on both hands at most. But there's not a lot of streamers who teach art. And so I want to make sure that I'm always giving out that educational content for those of you who are looking for that. Thank you for the follow. OG Zelda. Hey, are you excited for the new Legend of Zelda game that's going to come out? I am excited for it. I saw the little new teaser thing that they put out recently, and whew, crazy. It's looking real good. Have you seen the manga volume covers? Okay, I have not seen the manga volume covers. That is true. So I might do that. I might take a look at it. Hope all is well. Finally made it through Dressrosa and One Piece. Oh, nice, but that's super dope. What do your studio deliverables assignments look like in terms of format? Do they mainly do lines and flat colors? Oh, do I mainly do lines and flat colors? I do lines, flat colors, and shadows. So I do everything. I work in post-production, which means I'm basically, the stuff I work on is almost as close to as it gets to what you would see what you would actually see in the episodes. The only thing that I don't do is compositing stuff, so VFX stuff, adding in glow, lighting, all of that. Blur, stuff like that. That's all compositing team. But I'm like one step behind that, where I basically do all the clean lines. I work on the colors, adding in the shadows as well. And it varies. So for those of you who are wondering, what I do at Powerhouse is I work as a character / layout artist. And that basically means a couple of things. It can mean a lot of things, to be honest. It depends on the studio and what you do. But for Powerhouse, what that means is basically I'm working on particular scenes that need to get created, either refined or revamped. Sometimes I need to work from rough storyboards and actually create the create some of the details and stuff, or not create the details, sorry, actually draw in the animation frames from start to finish. So even I'll do the keyframes, the in-betweens. I'll even sometimes I'll even color everything as well too. And the reason why is because Powerhouse is a little different from other animation studios here in the US. A lot of animation studios will outsource their work to other overseas studios, like either Korea or Japan or whatever, right? And Powerhouse does a little bit of that too. But we also do a lot of in-house work. And by in-house, that means that we do a lot of the animation work as well in the studio. So yeah, I work basically on the team that does a lot of the in-house stuff, if that makes any sense. How long have I been in the industry? So I've only been working at Powerhouse for a good number of months now, not too much, so like less than a year. But I have been working full time as a freelance artist for about since May 2021, I believe. I always forget. May 2021. And so from then to now, almost 3 years. 22, 23, almost 2 years, actually. Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm still, I would say, fairly new to working in the industry in particular. But I think I'm not new to working in general. So fun fact, I used to be a software engineer, and I actually worked in the tech industry for about 5 years. 5 years before I decided I wanted to pivot and actually chase the thing that I wanted to do when I was younger, which was work in animation. And that's what I do now. Back foot, let me think. If this is the back foot, big toe is here. Okay. Let's see. Do you have any advice for an artist regarding social media? For social media, I'm looking to get back into it after a few years. I had an Instagram up until 2019, deleted it. Okay, so a little bit of social media. Oh yeah, and for my portfolio, sure. Here's actually a link to my portfolio. It's I have some private work that obviously I can't show due to NDA and stuff. But for the most part, all the stuff there is public stuff. And you can check out my portfolio there. Oh, right. And for those of you watching from YouTube, here's the link to my portfolio. It's just ksem.art. It'll link you. It's a little outdated, I will say. Here's a quick glance at it for those of you who are watching from YouTube or whatever. But here's a quick glance at my portfolio. You can kind of click through some of these things. Character rotations are pretty standard. Character layouts with different expressions, color variations, some interesting posing and stuff, ideation processes for thumbnailing, random other stuff that I threw on here just for fun because, you know, I thought it was interesting. And then I have another section too, but this is kind of the main section here. I try to keep my portfolio nice and small, not adding in too much stuff in my portfolio because I always tell people less is more. You don't need to have a lot in your portfolio. If anything, just showcase the things that are important to you and the people who are looking at your stuff. I always tell people that's the main thing, and that's the main purpose of a portfolio, right? It's not to be like, oh, here is everything that I've done. It's more about, hey, here are the things that I've done that I think your studio is looking from me to do, right? And I want to show you that I know how to do those things. So for anyone here who needs some portfolio advice, that's probably the first thing I would recommend, is to clean up your portfolio and make sure you're only adding in your like adding in your best work, but also adding in the work that you feel like is a reflection of the type of work you want to do. Now, really quick, guys, I do run ads on my stream every hour. One's going to be running right about now. So if you do get an ad, thank you again for sticking around for the ad break. And if you don't want to see any ads, consider subscribing or using a Prime sub out here on Twitch. But either way, thank you for the support, and I hope to see you guys after the ad break. But yeah, we do run a few ads out here. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question earlier. Was it Pete Perception? And then earlier someone had a question as well about the industry stuff. Let me know if that was helpful. Okay. And then here we go. And then the ad break should be starting soon. All right, so there was a question, right? So there was a question earlier about social media and stuff, right? So let me, I guess we can talk. I'll wait till after the ad break. Yeah. I'll do that afterwards. Also, are you guys finding it helpful that I'm covering here like the actual pose and stuff? Or do you guys just want me to jump into doing more mannequin stuff? Like, let me know in the chat if you guys are enjoying me actually going in here, you know, and drawing out all these forms and stuff. Because I honestly, I never know sometimes. I'm like, okay, do people want to see me do this? Or do people are just like, just show me the mannequins, you know, show me the rough pose and stuff. The action poses are great. Okay. All right. So you guys are okay with me finishing out the posing for this one before I move on to the next one, the next shot. You appreciate how I add the details to the mannequins. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. Then we'll do it for this one. And then for the other pose, if we have time, we'll add it. Otherwise, we're probably not going to have time, but we'll see. Do I have any recommendations for how to study muscle groups? It's kind of hard for me. Like, how do I start and where? Oh, Funky Noodle Frog. I would say check out my YouTube channel because I'll show it to you guys really quick. I'm telling you guys now, one of my goals as a content creator is to try to make art education as free as possible. And so no joke, if you go to my YouTube channel right now, I upload videos twice a week out here, and it's exactly the stuff you're asking for. How to draw the head and neck anatomy basics, how to draw the head from different angles, how to draw the structural anatomy of the head, how to draw characters in perspective, how to draw facial features, how to draw the torso from front view, side view, back view. I think on Sunday's video, I'll be releasing the video on how to draw arms. And so these right here are going to be going out. They're going to be coming out every twice a week. And so, and I go in depth there for all the anatomy. I'll show you guys really quick as an example. But I go pretty in depth here with all the anatomy, all the proportions. I go over the names. I label everything out as well. So I would say check that out. It's again, it's free to watch. And if you come out and actually watch my streams live, which you're doing right now, you can actually go to the Discord channel as well and grab the free resources that are here. So that's what I would recommend. There you go. Whole rise, okay, cool. It's great seeing your process. Okay, cool. Thank you guys for the feedback. I appreciate that. In that case, I will continue to draw out this pose, and then once we finish this one, we'll jump into a slightly more difficult pose. I'll show you guys really quick for those of you coming in, but this will be the next pose that we're going to work on after we finish this one right here. So we're going to work on something like this with more of a dynamic shot, dynamic composition, but it's a similar idea and a similar approach that we're going to be working with. All right. I appreciate the subs to my YouTube channel, guys. Thank you. We've been growing that YouTube channel. I've been uploading videos on there for about 2 months, so I'm still I would say I'm still learning a lot of how YouTube works and how to be a YouTuber, but I think it's going well, to be honest. I think each video has been getting better, and yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to feel like a YouTuber out here. Like, Twitch is always my home, and Twitch is where I started off with as a streamer or as a content creator. But I also want to help out more people on other platforms that maybe are not able to watch me while I'm live. Or something that I found out recently that I didn't even think about was YouTube has an auto subtitle feature. And so it's super great for people who, for example, can't understand English as well. And so watching my live streams can be a little difficult. But if you're watching from YouTube with that auto subtitle feature, it can actually be a tremendous help. And so I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that being a nice plus to upload my videos on YouTube. Let's see here. No worries. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions, guys. Again, this is the time of the video, time of the stream where I'm just going in here and drawing this out. So I'm not really giving out any particular details of how to do stuff. So feel free to ask. This is probably the best time to ask me questions, honestly. Let's see here. Sorry for the personal questions, but I know quarantine was sucky for everyone. It was forever ago, maybe not. But how did it affect you and your art getting into the industry? Great question, actually. And also thank you for the follow, Ellie, Naomi, and Jada Frost, and everybody else who's coming in. I guess I can talk about that really quick since it's been a while since I've shared this. But for those of you wondering, before the pandemic, I was actually working full-time as a software engineer. I wasn't doing any art. I actually didn't do art for about 6 years straight, because I felt like after high school and after I dropped out of art school after a semester, I really felt like art wasn't for me. I thought that it was too late for me. I was getting older. There were all these other crazy people on social media, all these youngsters out there who were like 15, 14 years old making incredible art. And I was starting to doubt myself to the point where I was like, you know what? It's too late. I'm old. I don't really have the skills necessary. And like, what's the point? You know, that was always my mentality. And I really thought, what's the point? But as I was working more and more as a software engineer, I was honestly feeling a little drained from it, to the point where I was starting to wonder. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Because I really feel like, I don't know, you know, like I felt like there was something clearly missing in my life that I used to really enjoy doing. And so after some thinking and stuff, I realized that possibly the thing that I was missing was actually just doing art. This was something that I did so much of when I was younger, whether that was through watching Saturday morning cartoons or doodling while I was in class. You know, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys are, a good number of you are artists out here who are watching, right? And so what kind of happened was, when the pandemic kind of hit, and this was actually March 13, which was a Friday, this was when in the US they announced the whole lockdown and all of that stuff. That actually happened to be my birthday. Funny enough, March 13, Friday, I was supposed to go to work and then, you know, maybe go out for some drinks or whatever. And because instead of the lockdown, my company was like, oh, work from home. And so I was like, oh, okay, I guess if I'm going to work from home, maybe I'll try streaming on Twitch for the first time, because I don't know, maybe I'll make some friends and stuff. Maybe I'll make some art friends, because that was one of my problems. Was I felt like because I had worked in the tech industry for so long, I didn't really have any art friends anymore. Like, most of my friends were tech bros, you know, software engineers and stuff, and they weren't really into art the way that I was into art before. And so I thought, okay, maybe if I stream on Twitch, I'll start drawing and try to, you know, do for fun. I'll maybe build a good habit of drawing again, and then I'll also happen to meet other people who maybe are in the same boat as I am. And that's kind of what ended up happening, where after that, I started streaming on Twitch again. I was drawing for fun, just kind of getting back into things, not really thinking that I was going to turn it into a job. You know, not really trying to turn it into a job or anything, but just because I wanted to do something that I felt like I was missing in my life. And so that was kind of my journey. From there, I streamed for about a year. from a year on Twitch before I realized, if anything, that art was actually the thing that I really wanted to do. Art was the career that I wanted to have. And so I decided to quit my job in 2021 to become a freelance artist and work full-time, content creator, freelancing, and all of that stuff. And that is kind of what ended up happening there. It wasn't until 2022 that I decided that I didn't necessarily wanted to do freelance, or I did want to do freelance, but I also wanted to work for a studio, for studios, and work on the projects that I really cared about. Things, similar projects to the ones that I grew up with, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, anime, and all of that stuff. And so in many ways, in 2022 was really where I decided to start ramping up and kind of reteaching myself all the fundamentals. And that is actually how my character design bootcamp was created, because I wanted to create a course for myself, because I didn't want to pay for art school and stuff like that. And so I made a course for myself that I felt like would allow me to eventually work in the industry. All the fundamental techniques that I wanted to learn about drawing characters and stuff, that was basically what studios were looking for. And so I made that course. I taught it all of last year on Twitch, and basically while I was working freelance as an artist and I was teaching, eventually I was starting to actually get some notice from studios, to the point where I'm here, where I'm at now, where I'm actually working for the studio that made Castlevania, and that's Powerhouse Animation. So it's been an interesting journey. It's been a fun journey. And to those of you wondering how much happier I am in general, I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. But I'm also, I would say, I'm also probably the most stressed that I've been ever, but it's a good kind of stress, and the kind of stress that I would take any day, because it's for something that I actually care to do and am willing to invest more time in. But there you go. That's a little bit about me and my quote unquote journey to becoming an artist and working in the industry, and how I became a teacher here on Twitch. It was actually purely by accident that I started becoming an educational art streamer here on Twitch. I only started teaching art out here on Twitch because I was learning these fundamentals myself. And I figured, you know what, if I'm going to be covering these topics, I'm sure there's other people out here who would also possibly find these things interesting. And so because of that, I, started teaching it and stuff. And yeah, and then now we're here in 2023. I would say on Twitch, I'm probably known as being an educational content creator. There's not a lot of us again, so it's not hard to to like quote unquote stand out in on Twitch as an educational art streamer. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. Hopefully that answered your question and gave you some insight on my community and how we kind of got to be where we're at now. Also, Papa Draco, welcome back in. But yeah, that was like the very TLDR fast version of that story. Because usually I tell that story when people ask about it, but I feel like you guys know the story. Most of you who are here have heard a variation of that story. Am I only an educational art streamer on Twitch? On this account on Twitch, yes. If you're talking about what other things I do on Twitch, I have a different account on Twitch where I play games and stuff. And so if you want to see games, then yeah, you can check out that one. Oh, you're saying am I the only educational art streamer? No, I think there are a few other educational art streamers here on Twitch as well. Thank you for the follow, Jaiseki. Appreciate that. Wait, Jaiseki. I think I watched your stream recently, didn't I? I think so. But you just followed me. How do you have a sub? Did someone gift you a sub? I'm so confused. You just followed me but I've been watching I watched your streams. I remember I watched it recently. I'm confused. Thanks for the follow. I don't know. Hey, things just happen. We don't question it. Yeah, we don't question things out here. But in terms of the question about am I the only educational art streamer? No, there's a few other ones, but there's definitely not a lot of us. I think the large majority of art streamers here on Twitch I would say are not educational art streamers. And that's okay. I don't think everyone enjoys teaching. I personally enjoy teaching, and it was something I used to do even before I was teaching art out here on Twitch. I used to teach computer science. Back in the days, guys, you would not believe it, but I used to teach computer science back when I was in college and getting my computer science degree and stuff. And so honestly, the way that I teach and stuff is the same way that I would have taught, computer science and all of that jazz. But yeah. So right now, for those of you who are coming in here, by the way, we're covering today how to do action poses. And what we actually started off with, I'll show you guys really quick. What we started off with was actually first laying out that perspective. I think perspective is very, very important, no matter what type of scene you're doing, but especially in a scene where you have characters interacting with each other. Perspective is going to be a kind of a key ingredient there for being able to lay out your scenes. From there, I'm doing some general mannequin posing, and I'm showing you guys how to take a pose like this, which is maybe okay, but how to kind of tweak it even slightly, and how those subtle changes can really give you a little bit more of a gesture just from doing subtle things. Like, we didn't even change that much. I just kind of twisted the pelvis, rotated the neck a little bit, and the torso, right? And then from there, going in now, adding in the other character, tweaking that one as well to kind of match a bit more of the gesture. And then here we're just adding in some details on top of all that. And you can kind of see where that's kind of leading into right now. So just showing you guys again, it's you can do all of these things to kind of help you better understand how to slowly and build up the process of drawing out these type of more complex poses. And how's it going, Sophia? Why is that doggo just there? He's not an image. That's a real dog. It's not an AI generated dog. This is not Midjourney dog. That's a real dog, guys. You can see. He's just wondering why you guys are talking about him. He's like, huh? You said my name? You said dog? Sometimes I wonder if he knows. I wonder if he knows the word dog. You think he does? I think so. Surely my dog does. Well, we'll never know, I guess. Why is he not moving? I don't know. Okay, he's a very low energy. He's a very low energy canine. All right, he doesn't really move a lot. He only moves for food and stuff. Though if you guys want, I might do a little something. Okay, here's what I'll say. If we hit today's sub goal, I'm going to show you guys this hat that I bought my dog. Oh, I didn't buy my dog, but there's a hat that I got for my dog that my sister has. If we hit the sub goal today, not only will we unlock a new cheat sheet, but I'll put on a hat for my dog for you guys. A little something cute. There you go. We'll spice up the pot today. If you guys didn't know, every 10 subs on my stream does unlock a free art cheat sheet that you guys can grab and stuff. It'll be available for everyone out here, so it's not just for my subscribers. But today, why not? We'll throw in a little something else. All right, let me erase this. But yeah, I'm just gonna add in all of these pieces here. He does have cat vibes. Yeah, I would say my dog is very cat-like, and I think that's just Akitas in general. That's just how the breed is. They're very much, they're very laid-back dogs, and they don't even bark. My dog will only ever bark if he feels threatened. Other than that, he just kind of just chills and hovers. Like, there have been many times where he will get stuck in a room by himself and he won't even call for help. He doesn't even bark for help because he just waits. He just waits there. He just assumes someone's going to get him. and he'll just chill. He'll just chill in a room that's locked by himself. And I'm just like, what are you doing, bro? Why don't you bark? Why don't you like be like, hey, I need help? Like, no, he's just like, nah, I'm good. I'll wait patiently out here. Yeah. That's my dog. Oh, thanks for the follow. Galoop. Thank you. Appreciate that. Also Hasi Betty Leray. Thank you for the follows. He's cleverer than all of us, already fluent in programming, art, and animation. My dog. Yeah, my dog is he's a sleeper build out here, guys. Don't underestimate my dog, okay? He knows things. Everything I've learned and I've taught out here on Twitch, it's all from my dog. I'm kidding. He's only taught me the things that I know, not the things that he knows, or whatever that phrase is. Oh, thanks for the follow too, Okami. We can probably add some speed lines here too, but that's more of like an animation. That's more of like a detail, like a subtle detail that we can do. We don't have to do that, but if you guys really want to create impact on your poses and stuff, sometimes going in and like adding in some kind of break lines can actually really help out a lot. But again, that's more like very subtle kind of details that you can do for like a comic style, that kind of stuff, right? Like kind of add in some break lines here to kind of exaggerate a little bit more of the overall kind of sequence there. But we'll do that after, maybe, if we're feeling up to it. How's it going, Croaky? Hey, welcome in. How are you doing today? How's everybody doing today, by the way? It's Thursday. We're more than halfway through the week. How are you guys feeling? Out of 10, with 10 being the highest and 1 being complete ass. Today was just a trash day. This week was a trash week. How would you rate this week so far? Let's see. A 1? Damn. That's really a 1? Like, this is like the worst week of the year? Damn, sorry to hear that. That's rough. I shouldn't be laughing. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, sorry to hear. 1 is pretty bad. A 3, a 9, and 8? Maybe not the worst. Okay. A 2? Sorry to hear that too, Mr. Manfredi. Damn. That's rough. I would say this week was okay. I had a headache yesterday. And so I kind of had to take a break. But I would say overall this week has been getting better. I'm also just really excited that we're going to be wrapping up this boot camp in a few days. I think next week will be the finale. Making it sound super dramatic, but next week will be the finale of the boot camp, where we're going to be wrapping this one up, and then I'll probably take a little bit of a break, or I don't know what yet exactly, but then we'll jump on to the next boot camp sometime next month. So I'm kind of just excited for that. You know, it's a little bit of that. We've hit the home stretch here, the final run of our boot camp journey out here on Twitch. Taxes are done. Heater is repaired. First week of real sleep after a lot of stress. Oh my gosh. I thought my taxes were done, and then I forgot that I had to file for a few things because if you guys didn't know, I worked majority freelance last year in 2022, And so you have to like calculate all your deductibles and this and that. And it's just like, so much work. And I thought I had finished everything. And then I found out that I didn't calculate a few things. And then now I have to like go back in and redo some of it again. So it's such a pain, but it is what it is, I guess. Don't forget to do your taxes, guys, especially to my fellow artists out here who do freelance work. I'm sure you guys know the struggle of having to do what's it called? Having to file it as a freelancer. It's such a doozy. Yeah, headaches have been a bit rough. How can you not follow up That's Rough with Buddy? That's rough, buddy. Yeah. No, we should have. That was a lost opportunity. But yeah, so going back here really quick on the drawing, by the way, as you guys can see, all I'm really doing is I'm building off of those mannequin shapes that we've established. And honestly, like that's kind of it, right? So like once you kind of get comfortable with those mannequin shapes and understand them a little bit better, learning the anatomy and then applying it on top actually becomes a whole lot easier, I think. Because now all I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, well, you know what? There's some cylindrical forms here. Maybe there's some muscle here for the radiobrachialis, right? We have here the ulna bone for the elbow, but then that's going to kind of go all the way here and create that gesture here for the pinky side of the wrist. Underneath all of that right there, we're going to have the form there of the flexors on the palm side of the hand, right? So it all kind of pieces together there. And then here on the lateral epicondyle there, we can have now the rest of the muscles there of the extensors. And you can kind of see how, ta-da, we're slowly building up the anatomy, and it's nice and easy to place it on top of the structures that we have here, right? Now, again, today's stream is not necessarily an anatomy stream. If you want to learn the anatomy, I have plenty. And when I mean plenty, I have here hours on hours of countless tutorials on anatomy. So highly recommend you guys check those out. But I'm showing you guys, again, how to apply all the things we've learned from the anatomy into some of these more simplified structures here, these more mannequin-like type structures, right? Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean, so initially I had an Excel sheet, Sophia, but then I just forgot to add a few things, and I was like, oh man, now I gotta go back in and reprocess some stuff. It's not a big deal, but it's just like a hassle, you know, one of those annoying things that you have to do as a as you file your taxes. And yeah. I'm still very much on the mannequin stage, feeling kind of stuck and unmotivated. Got any tips for how to keep grinding? The biggest tip I would give you is to ask yourself why you're feeling a lack of motivation. Because oftentimes when I hear people tell me they're unmotivated, it's not because they don't want to draw. It's actually quite the opposite. Usually when people tell me they're not motivated, it's because they want to draw, but they're frustrated because the things that they want to draw, they feel like they're not able to do, right? You're like, oh man, I want to draw, but I'm only on the mannequin stage. I'm seeing all these cool art on Instagram and on social media and on the animes that I'm watching, and I want to do that, KSM, but I can't because I'm stuck in the mannequin. So now I'm not really motivated to draw, right? There's a discrepancy between your expectations of what you want to do versus of the reality of what you're capable to do. And usually that gap in expectation versus reality is what leads people to feel so frustrated that they feel less of a desire to draw in the first place. Let me know if that sounds like some of you in the chat. Put an F in the chat if you've ever felt that way, or if you currently feel that way right now. Oh, sorry to hear about that, Mr. Manfredi. Yeah, layoffs are not fun, and it's honestly been heartbreaking to hear. I've had peers, I've had, you know, people who I know who've been laid off as well. So really sorry to hear that. I hope that you weren't affected, but even if you were affected, I do hope that things will be okay afterwards. Sorry to hear about that. It's time and space because my stupid brain can't focus with other people around. Unfortunately, I'm also a mom. Ah, yes, that's also a slightly different problem. Well explained. Okay, so let's talk a bit about how do you deal with that, right? So like, let's say that is where you're at right now, where you're like, man, KSM, I'm in that stage right now. That's me. I'm not really feeling the motivation and this and that, but like, what do I do? Okay, so here's what you do. Okay, for those of you who feel frustrated that you can't draw the things that you want to draw, take a look at the things that you are not able to draw, right? And actually ask yourself, like, okay, what are the things that I like about these drawings, and how do I do that? How do I incorporate that for my own self, right? Maybe you might be like, oh, you know what? I'm actually lacking in some anatomy. Maybe I'm lacking in a little bit of the perspective, right? And so use those things that you actually want to draw. And instead of just being like, oh man, this sucks, I can't draw that, but actually take a good look at it and ask yourself, what do I like about it? Where am I at right now? And how do I close that gap? So that's kind of the first step I always tell people, right? Is like, look and observe the things that you're interested in, and let that be the guiding factor of where you can go and study next. Because oftentimes I see a lot of people tell me stuff like, KSM, I don't know what to study. I don't know what to do. And I tell them, well, just look at the things that you want to make and ask yourself, of those things, what can you not do? Right? Maybe you don't know how to do the anatomy. Maybe you don't know how to do the gesture or clothing or whatever have you, right? And then there you go. Label those things out, and then set some time for yourself to actually go in and practice those things out, right? Now, the other factor that I always tell people as well is on top of all this, it's important to let yourself know that art is a very long process. The journey of being an artist is one that I think hopefully is a fun, lifelong endeavor. And so don't feel like you have to be at a certain place today. Just because you can't draw like your favorite artist doesn't actually mean that you won't get there eventually, right? Oftentimes I feel a lot of artists get so frustrated because they're just like, man, KSM, I keep seeing all these young artists on Instagram who are creating these ridiculously good drawings. They're like 14 years old and I'm on Instagram. I just got into high school. Look at my cool stuff. And you're just scratching your head and you're like, wait a minute. I was never that good at 14, right? And all of a sudden you start comparing yourself to other people. You start wondering to yourself, man, what am I doing wrong that these other people are doing right? Right? Remember that you are on your own journey. Everyone starts at a different place. And just because someone is good at something doesn't mean that they're good at everything, right? They also have to put time in and all that stuff. So I always tell people, focus on yourself, be proud of the things you're learning, and what you're able to do, but also realize that, hey, you know what? There are things to learn. Go figure those things out. Find the things that you need to learn, and then go study those things. This is what I do all the time. This is like my recipe, quote unquote, for how I continue to grow as an artist, because I used to feel like I was at a plateau for a long while. But ever since I started shifting my mindset and doing the things that I told you guys, I actually haven't felt like I plateaued in a while. If anything, I feel like there's so much more for me to learn and do and grow. And if anything, it's like the complete opposite. Now I'm feeling like, oh man, there's so much I want to practice, but I don't have enough time because I have work and, you know, I got stream and all of that stuff. So that is what I'll say for those of you who feel like a lack of motivation. There are genuinely cases, I think some people have mentioned, where maybe they just feel like they're busy, they're not in the right environment and stuff like that. And I think that's like a slightly different problem, but one that I think is still relatable, right? But there you go. I hope that was helpful to hear. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I'll say. Again, take what I say too with a grain of salt, because not everyone's experiences are the same as mine. But thank you for the follows, Ronin Ku, Eskimo, your local ginger hair, Vapor 79, and everybody else who's here today. Genuinely, I am curious, guys, as to how you guys came across. How did you guys come across my stream today? Was it from the recommended section of Twitch? Was it from my Instagram? Was it from my YouTube channel? What brought you guys here? Always curious to see. And either way, thank you again for your support. And I hope you guys are enjoying today's stream, whether it's the topics that we're covering right now, or if it's the the drawings that we're having here, or the conversations we have. Yes, we do a lot of tutorial stuff out here on my streams, but as you can see, we also do a lot of talking, and I hope that's okay. I hope that the talking and stuff is fine for you guys. I try to talk in the moments where I'm not like super busy. So if I'm doing like this type of pose and stuff instead, you know, this is where I'm going to be doing some of that drawing. Sorry for the reply, but I heard, and I want to thank you for being transparent about your journey and sharing your story by answering my questions. I really appreciate that. I'm glad I pressed the follow button. Thank you. Thank you for following. Hope you continue loving to do teaching and progressing your art. Thank you. I will do my best to continue teaching. And yeah, that's a great quote. TF Frosty. Comparison is the thief of joy. Whew. Teddy Roosevelt out here with the big brain quotes. My guy. There you go. That's a great quote. Comparison is the thief of joy. When you start comparing yourself to other people and start wondering and doubting yourself, man, that's a rough one. Let's see here. I apologize for asking again, but if you answered my question about social media, oh right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I totally forgot. Let me go ask that question. Okay, so the question was in regards to getting back into social media and what's a good way to get back into social media. Okay. Let's talk about that actually. All right. So social media, how do you get back in? Should you get back in and all of that stuff? Personally, I think social media is not something that necessarily all artists have to do. I think there's like this misconception that like, oh man, I have to be on social media because everyone's on social media. But realistically speaking, I think, you know, if you want to share your art with other people, go ahead and do that. I always caution artists, especially beginner artists, to, you know, be mindful of social media and don't let it drive you in what you need to be drawing, because I used to be there when I was younger and I used to post on Instagram and stuff. I used to draw and post things that I thought people would like, you know, people would like to see, people would like to share. And it can feel gratifying at first that people are quote unquote seeing your work and actually appreciating it, right? Like that's a great feeling, and everybody would want a bit of appreciation for their work. But the problem ends up happening where you start to draw stuff that maybe you don't actually care to draw, and instead you're more directly tied to whether or not other people will give you value for the things you're doing. And so the first tip that I give to anybody who is again interested in social media and stuff is be mindful of that. Like there's nothing wrong with social media. It's a tool like anything else, right? But don't let it consume you. Draw things because you want to draw things, not because you think other people will think it's cool, even if you don't, right? But let's say you're like, cool, KSM, I want to draw for me, but I also want to, you know, genuinely grow my accounts and stuff like that. I think generally, what really works on social media is finding stuff that other people also gravitate towards as well. So if your goal is just to grow on social media, I would say the thing that you can do is to, you know, draw fan art of things that you like, or maybe join in on community challenges, you know, find relatable content or stories, whether it's funny memes or jokes or whatever have you. So stuff like that I think other people can relate to, because let's say you're only posting original characters, that's completely fine. But if other people don't know your original characters, or, you know, not necessarily interested, they might not follow you because they're kind of like, oh, I don't know what this is and I don't really care to, right? But again, at the end of the day, I think the biggest tip I always give about social media is just focus on the things you care about. Focus on the things you care about, post because you want to post. And I think that'll be a good recipe for long-term success on social media platforms, whether that's on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch even. I think Twitch is the same way, right? Like, don't just stream on Twitch because you think other people are going to like what you're drawing, right? If you don't like drawing anime waifus, don't draw anime waifus, you know? Like, just because you see people doing that on Twitch doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. Like, you guys will see, I don't draw anime waifus a lot on my streams. Like, there are going to be times where I draw the occasional female character and stuff for educational purposes, right? But that's just not what I'm super interested in. But again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are people who genuinely like drawing, you know, drawing particular types of things. So draw the things that you care about. It'll help you in the long run. And yeah, have fun, but also try to connect with other people. Because again, that's really what social media is all about, right? Social media is about connecting to other people who are on the platform, who are interested in the type of things that maybe you are working on or doing or whatever have you. But there you go. A little social media advice from somebody who is a content creator and does that part-time. Hopefully that was somewhat helpful out here. It's probably the most generic advice I've given, but again, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's hard to give like concrete advice. Like, if you post these 3 things every week and you do this and that and you reshare, you will grow your channel. Like, I don't know, that all is such a variable thing. So I'm not trying to give you guys advice like that, where it's like, you know, follow these 3 hacks and you too will grow. Like, possibly that's true. But I don't know. I don't think that's a good recipe for long-term success. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw out the legs really quick, and then I think we'll be solid there. Thank you for the follows, by the way. Candy Sauce, Yasmin, Yasminosawa. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. And also BDS. Welcome in, guys. And no problem. That was a great question. But yeah, thank you again for everyone who's been coming out here on the streams. I hope you guys have been enjoying my process here of how I draw action poses. I think this, again, is such a valuable way to take all the things that you might have learned so far from my bootcamp, whether it's from the perspective or the anatomy. I think doing this exercise of actually laying in the anatomy and laying in the perspective and the model and the mannequin and all that stuff, I think these are like, this is fun stuff, I feel personally. And yeah, social media. So this is for the topic earlier. I do agree that social media is a great way to get visibility, especially if you want to get into the industry and you're not currently living in a country like, for example, the US or the UK or Australia, where there are major studios. If you're coming in from a different country and stuff, social media can be a very, very great way to be able to, you know, showcase your skill sets. I agree. Wow, a lot of F's in the chat. A little too many F's in the chat. Did I see the work with? Did I work with Spencer Wan? No. I wish I worked with Spencer. I took one of his classes recently. Actually, Spencer taught a class in perspective, and I was like, my guy Spencer, he knows. I mean, I didn't expect less, but like, one of the first things he said about perspective was like, perspective is the language of art. And I was like, my guy Spencer Wan, he knows the value of perspective. If you guys can't tell, I love perspective. But the reason why I also love perspective is because I feel like a lot of people neglect perspective. They think, when you think perspective, they're thinking, oh, you know, buildings and all of that stuff, 1 point, 2 point perspective. But actually, guys, all characters, all things with 3D forms are going to be in perspective, and characters are no different. Even if you're drawing a face, right? Even if you're drawing a face like this face is still in perspective, right? There's going to be, you can follow here the gesture going this way. You can follow here the structure of the head, right? It's a box. You see that? And that all has perspective. Everything has perspective. And so I always tell people, learn the perspective, and you don't have to be super crazy. You don't got to be like a 3.4 point fisheye lens, crazy dynamic perspective, whatever. You don't got to do all that, but learning some of the basics will actually be a huge, tremendous boost, I think, to your art and to your progress. So highly recommend it always to everybody and anybody who is trying to learn the fundamentals. What's my perspective on hey, get out of here. That's a good comment. What's my perspective on it? I would say it's got a lot of good points. Perspective, you know, very valuable. I just love seeing dogs. Honestly, I prefer when they chill beside you. Trying to work with a jumper around is really difficult. Yes, I agree. And that is why I love my dog. And that is also why I'm thinking about getting another dog. But don't tell him that, because I already know. I don't even have to test it out, but I already know for a fact that Arrow would be so upset if I got another dog. He acts like he doesn't want my attention, but I know he does. I know he always tries to get my attention whenever he wants it, and he will be so sad. I just know my dog. Question, do you play the guitar? Not anymore. I used to play the guitar, you know, as a Filipino. I learned how to play Lemonade by Passion, because that's like the unspoken Filipino anthem. So I learned, you know, I did my few dabbling as a Filipino, but I don't play the guitar anymore. Arrow is tsundere, 100% tsundere dog. No questions asked. Yeah. Also, thank you for the follows again. Average Hill, Sweet Kisses, and everybody else who's coming in here. Let me see here. Can you tell us a bit about how you divide your time? You said you work full-time on design for a show. How do you also manage to do so much streaming? Yes. So my schedule might sound a little crazy to you guys, but basically what I do is I wake up at 6 a.m. every day. And then from like 6 a.m. to 7 is basically when I do my, my morning routine. I, WALK my dog, because I don't want to say the actual word, because he will hear that. And then from like 7 to 11 a.m. is basically when I draw, either for stream or for myself. That's when I'm streaming here with you guys from 7 to 11. And then from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. is basically when I do studio work. And so I immediately jump into doing remote work for studio and stuff. I work on the projects, this and that. And then, and then I take a break. I play video games. I get tilted on League of Legends. And then I wake up the next day and I do it again. And so I draw for about 12 hours a day, I would say. I draw for about 12 hours a day. Though, again, I will tell people that I think a big part of what allows me to do what I'm doing now is that I actually genuinely enjoy streaming on Twitch, and I don't think of it as like a chore or something like that. For me, like streaming with you guys and drawing out here and doing all these teaching and stuff is actually for me a great, it benefits me a lot, because I still get to learn a lot of the fundamentals, and I also get to help people out here who are coming and watching. So it's a win-win for me. But that is usually my schedule. Do I sleep early? I get about 6 to 7 hours of sleep. 7 hours on a good day, 6 hours on an average day. So I sleep at about like 11:30 or 12 is what I usually sleep, I would say. Maybe like around like closer to 11:30, if not 12. But yeah, that's what I'll say. I just remember that there's a YouTube channel that did a guitar cover channel and then came to work on Castlevania. Oh no, that's not me, but I do have a YouTube channel, guys. I do have a YouTube channel. If you guys like the tutorials that I have here, I upload 2 videos a week on my YouTube channel. No joke. I've been uploading like they're on crazy, because I want to try to help you guys out as much as I can. So for those of you who either cannot watch all of my streams live, or if you are maybe watching and you speak a different language, YouTube is really great for that, because I actually have an auto subtitle feature that'll, translate my words into a different language, which I think is incredible. I didn't even know that existed until someone told me about it. But yeah, I have a YouTube channel as well. Let's see here. What's my favorite piece that I've done? Oh, do I still have it? Let me see. I really enjoyed making this Geralt of Rivia Witcher piece, but I made this in 2021. This is an old, wow, some of these drawings are so old. That's actually insane. I know a lot of you guys like this one. For some reason, everybody loves this. I don't know why. I don't understand why you guys like this piece so much. But this was like a joke. This was a joke drawing that we did for like fun. It was like a quick like 30-minute portrait that we did for fun. And you guys were like, oh my gosh, can you draw Jinx? Arcane is so good. It's my favorite show right now. All right. Here you go. Here's your Jinx drawing. You guys are like, huh? That's not what I wanted. It's too late. It's what you got. You can't forget how to do perspective. You constantly have to teach perspective. Yeah, exactly. That's actually true. Very true. Yes. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap up on this leg and this back arm there. And I think we're actually pretty much good with this pose. I honestly, I feel really happy about this one, this drawing that we did together. And again, I hope it's okay, guys, that I ended up drawing most of the pose here. I know that a lot of you requested that I do the full drawing. So this is me doing that. Normally, I just do the mannequin for you guys and I show you guys how to draw from the mannequin because I feel like the details are subjective. You can draw, all the details whenever you like to your own preferences. But I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it so far. At least I'm assuming so. Yeah, it's all on my YouTube channel, so you guys can check out those things. Again, I will remind you guys that even though the bootcamp is ordered from day 1 to 3 on to 30, you don't have to watch it in order. So you can always check out the videos in whatever order you want. If there's a particular topic that is interesting to you, go ahead and check that out instead. But if you want to go in order of my bootcamp as you see it on my YouTube channel, sure, why not? I'm not going to stop you guys, but you don't have to go in that order. And you don't even have to watch every day. If you are a beginner, though, I do recommend going in at a relative order because that's the order that I structured it. Do you have any advice for coming up with names, characters, titles for stories? Oh, no, I'm not good at that. I'm unfortunately not good at naming stuff, so you're asking the wrong person. Arcane is peak animation. It is peak animation. Yes, 100%. Thank you for the follows too, Alio Artista and Ada Cat. Welcome in, guys. Thank you for the follows. Do you work and play games on the same desk, or do you have a separate workstation? Oh, that's a great question. No, I have a separate. Let me show you guys. What the heck? I have a separate desk over here where I work. And that desk right there is, I even have a separate PC because I don't want to accidentally reveal any NDA stuff on stream. Like, oh man, imagine if I accidentally revealed some NDA stuff that I did for work on stream, dude, I would be done. It'd be over for me. KO, man. And that is why I have a separate workstation. I do play games on this PC though. So this PC is my gaming PC as well. But I have a separate workstation just to avoid any potential accidents. Man, I'll get ripped. Let's see. Thank you for the follow too. Tomo Rip Soul. I haven't even flipped the canvas yet. But honestly, the flip was good. Hey, when the canvas flip is solid. Let's go. Nice. Oh, thank you for the prime sub, Choro. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, every sub out here on my stream not only helps me, but it actually helps everybody else out here because every 10 subs on my stream actually unlocks some more free art resources and cheat sheets that you guys can download. There's some already available right now on my Discord channel. But you can actually grab those. Let me show you guys really quick. So these are available to grab right here. These are the worksheet from today. And here is a sheet from my digital art book, which I'll be releasing hopefully later this year. And then also some Andrew Loomis stuff. But for those of you who are new, everybody who subscribes, so first of all, these are free. You can grab these right now for free, but everybody who is subscribed to my stream will actually get access to all of the previous day worksheets, along with the PSD files and all the notes that I have there. You'll also get access to all of the cheat sheets that I make out here as well. And you'll even get access to all of the previous boot camp days that I've covered too. And we cover a lot. You can actually see here all of the different topics that we cover, all of the sheets that I've made out here. This is from last year. And so these are available to all of you who are subscribed. And it's even better for those of you who have Prime sub, because basically it's like getting free art school out here. All the stuff that I teach, by the way, are either stuff that I've learned from books, classes, or things that I've taken from online courses, and I'm just reteaching it out here. But there you go. But hopefully that was interesting for you guys. Thank you for the follow, Boolean and Tomo and everyone else coming in here. All right. Let's go ahead and what was I doing? Oh, right. This foot right here. I mean, we already kind of finished it, thankfully. Woohoo! Pog. Nice. There you go. Let's see here. Wow, thanks for the follows. CK Supreme, Kyle Live. Also, here's my Discord channel for those of you who are interested. I draw for 12 hours a day. How do I prevent fatigue in my hand? That's a great question. I take breaks when I can. I also try to sit with really good posture, so you guys can kind of see when I draw. I try to sit with a relatively decent posture there. And then I also, what else? I also have a good ergonomics too, I would say. But yeah, also really quick, guys, I do run ads on my stream every hour, by the way. So if you do get an ad, thank you again for sticking around for the ad break. They help keep my streams monetarily viable and allow me to do what I'm doing out here on Twitch. But if you don't want to see any ads, consider subscribing or using a Prime sub. But either way, thank you for your support, and I hope to see you guys after the ad break. Do I walk 10 minutes every hour? You sit? Not every hour, but I do walk my dog for about 30. Oh, I said the WALK word. Look, he's moving. He heard me say it. But I do take him on WALKs for about 30 minutes or so, halfway through. So it's not like it's not like I don't move, you know. That seems kind of crazy. Also, Ratlord, hey, how's it going, Ratlord? Let me give you a shout out as well. There you go. Let's see here. Traditional art, how do you flip the canvas on paper? For those of you who do traditional, I would recommend taking a photo. Taking a photo of what you're drawing and then just flipping it on your phone. Or if you want, you can also hold up your drawing to the light. You can kind of see it from there as well. You can kind of see from the reflection or from a mirror. There's a lot of different ways to flip the canvas, I would recommend. But it all, you know, it's all just whatever works for you, I would say. I think for me personally, the easiest thing that I do is I just take a picture of it. Take a picture and I flip it on my phone and I look at it through my phone to see what's working well and what's not. And hey, how's it going? Overlord Kitsume. Nice emotes there. Let's see. KSM, was your basis for studying anatomy Hogarth or Bridgman? Bridgman. I love Bridgman. Bridgman is my favorite. I have a question. Pardon my ignorance. I know, good. No worries. But you did a character design camp before and you're doing a new one now. Will it be on this channel as a 2.0 or will it be replaced for something different? So the one I've done before was my 2022 version. And that one was like, it was okay, but I would say it was less refined and less structured. This one that I'm making this year is, I would say, the definitive My Character Design Bootcamp course. I'm still going to keep the old one on my channel for those of you who want to go and see that one. But I would definitely say this one is the more polished, refined version, and is the one that I would recommend people to jump in on. This is the one that I've really put my time in and kind of scheduled out more and tried to make each stream really as dense and as concise as I possibly can. So yeah, that's a great question though. The one that I did last year was mostly for myself. And that was just because, again, I was trying to prepare myself and relearn a lot of the fundamentals. But this one is really more of like for you guys, more like an educational guideline and stuff that I intentionally knew that I was going to be teaching out here on Twitch. And so I wanted to make sure that it was good quality. Great question. Let's see. Bridgman, but no reading, right? Just drawing. I saw David Finch recommend not reading. Oh, I read it. I read Bridgman. I don't know. I like reading. I know it sounds weird, but I'm actually one of those people who will buy an art book and actually read the art book, you know, and go through it. But no, I actually really like reading it. I think Bridgman is definitely not something for beginners. I would definitely say to, if you're going to be doing Bridgman and you're a beginner, just follow the drawings, because a lot of the text might confuse you, especially with how he talks about the insertions of the anatomy and all of that stuff. That stuff can get really heavy really fast. But if you're just, you know, if you're a little bit more advanced and you kind of already understand some of the topics, I actually think reading it is actually really helpful, because he talks a lot about why certain muscles connect to other parts and stuff like that, which I guess arguably is theoretical, because it's all about a relative understanding of the human body. But I don't know. I think it's great. You don't have to read it though. Don't, you know, do what makes the most sense for you. I kind of want to see if I can, I mean, we can keep his hands here and his, you know, his thumb and stuff, but maybe we'll like loosen up the fingers a little bit. So, because he's getting his head rocked. So like maybe he has like a finger out here kind of thing. So it's not like a complete fist, not a tight fist, you know? Yeah, you don't got to read it. Thank you for the follow to Al Gotti. But yeah, I would say this is going to be here, the finished stuff. So if you're watching from YouTube, I would say this is going to be the end of this portion right here. But yeah, thanks for watching. For those of you who are watching from the YouTube channel, and let's continue out here on Twitch. So for this one here, I want to go ahead and color it for you guys so you can kind of see some of the composition a little bit better. And I think there are a few tips and tricks that we can do again to really create some impact, right? So a common technique that a lot of, like, for example, anime or manga artists will do is they'll actually kind of go in here. Let's say like right here. And then they'll add a little bit of a motion blur. Now, obviously, there's a lot of different ways and techniques to do that, but sometimes it's easy to just kind of go in and just kind of add a few lines, add a few breaks here. So I'm going to, you know, clean it up for you guys and make it look a little bit more sharp and stuff. So you can kind of go in like this. You can kind of see how already like adding in that blur and stuff can really help with establishing some kind of interesting impact for your drawings. And this is more of like a relative advanced technique that you can utilize, but it's not necessary. I think the main stuff that I talked about earlier is probably the more, I would say, is the more important stuff, right? The stuff about the overall gesture, the mannequin, and all of that stuff there. And thanks for the follow too, Sion. Appreciate that. Now, I think earlier there was some questions, and I let me know if you guys still have those questions in the chat. I'll try to answer them. I'll try to do my best to answer those questions. But yeah, let me know. And let's see here if we can kind of clean this one up a little bit. I kind of want, I mean, so these are his eyes here. Let's see. Do some of that. Yeah, that looks nice. Do a little bit of that. Let's see here. So yeah, I'm just going to try to see if I can improve that impact a little bit more. And I think overall, there's a few other things too that I want to change, but I think the scene, again, I hope that this was helpful to see. This is how I generally approach drawing kind of more complex scenery, whether it's a dynamic pose or even just a standard pose where the characters are just standing and stuff. I think this is still kind of the similar process that I go with, you know, breaking down the simple structures, understanding some of the relationship there between the characters and how they're actually making contact with each other. That's some of the three kind of key ingredients here that I have. But yeah, let me know, guys, if you have any other questions in the chat. Again, I try to keep my streams as, you know, conversational and as possible and try to open it up to you guys. So if you have any questions for me, this is probably the best time to ask, because at this stage, I basically have talked about all the particular topics that I wanted to lay out for you guys. And so now this is mostly just me now cleaning it up with you guys and kind of showing you how I would maybe take this a little bit further to, you know, give it a bit more pizzazz here. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's see. I have a Prime sub, but I can't access the previous cheat sheets I missed. Yeah, so if you have a sub, if you guys did subscribe and stuff, make sure to connect your Twitch account to Discord, because that is going to be the thing there that'll allow you to get access to all of the resources that I have out here. And if you have done that, sometimes you just have to wait, because sometimes Discord is a little laggy. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Let me maybe add some hair. I don't know. Seems like a character here with short hair. There you go. Yeah. Other things that you can add too to help kind of create some more depth in the illustration is you can obviously add some ambient occlusion. So areas right here where there's going to be some darkened out sections, right? So like right here on that neck portion right there, areas under the pits right here where you're not really going to be seeing a lot of the form there, because of how the form kind of overlaps and creates those shadows, those pockets of shadows that we're seeing there. So we might see that a little bit here. Just adding in a little bit of depth there to kind of help sell that pose a little bit more and sell kind of the illustration. Sometimes I see artists, for example, like TB Choi likes to add in these kind of like shadows underneath the clothing. I'm a big fan of utilizing techniques like that as well. So shout out to TB Choi. So like she'll go in like right here, for example, and add a little bit of a shadow there, right? Just to kind of add some depth. And then here in this case, I'm trying to see if there's any other areas here that I feel like could use a bit more depth that we can then, you know, leverage. Maybe like right here underneath this section of this section right here of the armpits, right? There you go. In this case, Casey. Oh, thank you for the follow, Oscar Meza. But yeah, guys, let me know. Now that you've seen here the relative full process, was this helpful in the chat? Let me know. Honest answers in the chat now that we're not, you know, doing the YouTube segment and stuff. Was this helpful? Is this something that you feel like you guys are gonna try yourself? You know, let me know. I'm actually genuinely curious out here. Let me see if I can like give him, I don't know what type of hairstyle we want to give him, but maybe this hairstyle's okay. Maybe he's just bald. Maybe he has a man bun. That could be kind of cool. Yeah, thanks for coming in here. Thanks for the sub, Natasha. I'm sorry that you didn't get a notification. Sometimes Twitch, sometimes Twitch does wonky things, and I wish I had more control over that, but yeah. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? Ooh, this is kind of giving me Sifu. You guys ever heard that game Sifu? It's a game where you play as this guy who just beats people up. Such a, for lack of better description, it's a game where you kind of go around and yeah, you just fight. It's a really good fighting game. I've only played the demo, unfortunately, because I'm too lazy and poor to pay for the full game. But here's some, I guess, potential Sifu fan art. Is that the one where every time you get old, or every time you lose a fight, you get older? Yeah, so it's like every time you lose a fight, you get older, but you also get wiser, which I like. That's an interesting, very, very interesting mechanic there. Okay. Let's go add a little bit of color here just to kind of set the tone, set the mood, and I think we'll be done here with this illustration. Yeah, not bad. You're in my living room waiting on the notification. You got a JSON redemption? What is this? All right, we got a JSON redemption here, guys, from Guardian Snecky. They wanted me to let you guys know. They wanted me to say,
hey, it's JSON here, and Butter Dog? Yo, what is that? What is Butter Dog?
There you go. That's your JSON redemption. Yeah, but let's go ahead here, add some colors. I think this will look nice. So set this one to a multiply layer. Here's how I do some quick line art for you guys. I'm just going to duplicate here. Set this one to about, set this to a multiply layer like so. Move this to about 40% opacity right there. Duplicate it a second time. Just add a little bit of a motion blur, this time going in a little bit this way at about 8%. This just kind of helps push in some of the lines, give you a little bit more of that anime style, kind of crispy little shading there, a little bit of popping going on. But we'll go in here. Let me clean up a few things, and then I think we'll be good to now color this one out. We can do a few other things too to kind of give more of a blur, but I think this is okay. This is a pretty good place to start. So now I'm going to go in and let's just pick out some, I'll just pick out some colors. And then we'll kind of piece it out here like so. Why motion blur and not Gaussian blur? That's a great question. So the reason why I personally prefer motion blur over Gaussian blur is because with Gaussian blur, it applies a softened blur across the whole image pretty evenly, or not evenly, but in a relative distribution. But if you think about why people even use the blur effect in the first place, it's actually originated from traditional animation techniques that use cell shading, where you apply different cell sheets on top of each other, and the slight displacement and the slight depth that is created by stacking multiple images on top of each other creates a little bit of that softened blur effect. Now, the interesting thing though is when you add these cells on top of each other, it's not going to be like a direct softened blur. Sometimes it's going to be due to the cells being shifted and stuff. And so personally, I like to use a motion blur because it adds a little bit of that simulation of two cell sheets kind of slightly offset from each other. But again, that's just a preference thing that I do. You don't have to do that. You can use a Gaussian blur as well, but I don't know. I like the motion blur. I think it makes more sense to me. And I think the result is better where like some sections of the lines are softened, but not all sections of the lines are softened. Yeah. Let me know if that made any let me know if that made any sense. Oh, thanks for the follow. X Jadge and also P Pants. Welcome in, guys. What does Puppy Power do? You can give it a try. Give it a try and see what you get. But let's see here. So we got our flats. Let's do, oh, can't forget this. Let's add a little bit of a softening here. I think that'll look really nice actually. So we're going to alpha lock here. I'm going to take a bit of a warmer gray here and just kind of do a quick softened airbrush across the top. Oh, hold on. Let me do this. Clip mask it. And then I'll do a darker gray. There you go. That looks nice. Maybe too much. Okay. A little bit of motion blur, not too much there. Okay, perfect. And then we can go in and start applying some colors on top here. Let's see here. Thanks for the lovely shout out. We came because we were looking for skeletal structures and dynamic poses, showing them how to apply the anatomy knowledge to movements. So you're picking the class right up. Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's actually exactly what we're talking about, which is how to actually pose your characters in dynamic poses and all of that fun stuff. So that's actually exactly what we're covering today. So super cool. Yeah. Again, if you guys want to see the rest of my stream and stuff and the rest of the stuff we cover, I do have all of the tutorial content out here. They're available on my Discord channel. Or sorry, not my Discord channel. They're on my YouTube channel, but you can find all the free resources and stuff over on my Discord. So let me actually move this. Let me do this. Oh shoot, is it already? Yo, what the heck? Is it already 10:55? Damn, time flies. I wanted to at least do some base colors with you guys. Ah, rip. Okay, hold on guys. I'll do this quickly. Damn, time really flew by on this piece. Crazy.